Hi guys, welcome to Code Tech Gyan. Today we will learn about Spring framework in Java. Yes guys, Spring is really famous among Java developers all over the world and it has few qualities for which it is so famous. So guys, first quality is inversion of control and this is what exactly we will be learning in this video. So if you are a newcomer, if you are a beginner in Java and you want to learn Spring framework, or even if you have some knowledge of Spring framework and you have been using it, still for some people inversion of control is a little bit difficult topic to understand because sometimes concept don't get much clearer to you. So guys, this is the video exactly for you, and by the end of this video I promise you that you will know each and everything in inversion of control, because this video will really help you to understand inversion of control and why Spring framework has brought inversion of control and what are the drawbacks it eliminates. So let's start here and see how we can implement inversion of control. Usually in Java, what happens? You will have an interface. In interface, you can have few methods, abstract methods. For example, void eats and void runs. These are the two common methods for any animal, right? Now you can have different classes like cat class, and cat class can implement animal interface, and then cat will have to implement all the unimplemented methods of animal. Similarly, if you have another class like dog class, here also you have to do the same thing. Dog implements animal and then all the unimplemented methods needs to be implemented the same way you did for the previous class, right? So here you do like this. And then if you have another class like animal jungle.java, suppose it is a business service class. In this class, what you will have to do, if you want to call methods of cat.java, eat and run method, you need to create an object of cat. Similarly, if you want to have an object of dog.java, you need to create an object of dog.java, something like this. Public static void main string arguments, then cat object c is equal to new operator you need to use to create an object, and then c dot eats simply c dot runs. These things you need to do. If you have to call method of dog class, then you need to make changes here. Dog object of dog class and d dog. Similarly, you need to change the object name here, right? This way you will be able to call the object of and the methods of dog class, eats.java and run.java. But if you are using interface, there is another way. By polymorphism also you can achieve it. If you make it animal, object of animal, and then if you need an object of dog class, you can leave it as it is. Just you need to change the object name here. Okay, if you are doing this way, by using polymorphism, you will be able to call the objects eats and runs of your dog class. But if you want to call the cat class, then you can just make it cat, and then you can call the objects of cat class. Let's run this so we have this clear idea before we move forward. Let me just write some printout statements here so that when we run, we will see which methods are being called. Cat eats, and here cat runs. Okay, same thing in dog class as well. Dog eats. Similarly, dog runs. And if you are using interface here in your service class, then you will have to create an object of interface, and then on the right side, whatever object you need of whichever class, you just need to mention that class name here. So in this case, if I'm using cat class, if I'm instantiating class cat class, I will call the objects eats and runs of my cat class. So let's run this example quickly. So here you can see cat eats and cat runs. If you make it dog, then you will get dog eats and dog runs, right? So till now, if you are making any changes, if you want to take object of different classes, you will have to make changes in your code. right? So this is not very configurable. If you have to make any changes in your code, every time you need to come to your code and make changes here. This makes the code burdensome, and if many developers are working on the project, then everybody needs to keep track of the code changes everywhere, and in real time, in business scenario, this is real problem, right? So is there any way by which this can be made easier and life can be easier for developers, and instead of creating objects every time, managing those objects, is there any way I can just get those objects? Then Spring came into picture, and Spring told that Spring can create object and Spring can manage those objects as well. And if you are using Spring framework, this can be done very simply. So let's see how we can do that. So normally if you have to create object of any class like cat and dog in our example, you need to use new operator and you can create object of those classes. But in Spring framework, Spring gives you objects and Spring manages those objects for you. So you just need to write your business logic and Spring framework does this all job for you. So you just need to do two things. First one, you need to create a configuration file. So you have to give all those class names inside your configuration file for whichever you need objects. And second thing, once you write the configuration file, the IOC container is provided by Spring framework. So whatever class names you are writing in your configuration file, IOC container will create objects for all those classes. Suppose you are writing 50 class names in your configuration file, then when your program is loaded, then IOC container, which is a Spring provided container, and IOC stands for inversion of control. So this container will contain all the objects for all the classes you mentioned in your configuration file. So this is all done by Spring. And whenever you need to call any object of any of these classes, you just need to use getBean method inside the class and you will get that object. Sounds simple, right? But it will be more simple when we run the program for it. So let's go to our Eclipse and run the program. Okay, so we are back on our previous code. So here this code is not very much configurable. Every time you need to create object of different class, you need to come here and make changes to this code. But this is our problem, right? This is why Spring framework provided us IOC container. So let's see how we can make use of Spring framework. So let's start. Here, if you see, I have in my reference libraries, I have already taken all the Spring jars. So what I did, I went to demo project, then I went to build path, configure build path, and then here in libraries, you can download all your Eclipse libraries and then copy it over here. So I have in description box, I have provided the steps how you can download all the Spring jars and you can import it here in your library section and you are good to go. This is what you have to do to run your Eclipse application. So once you have imported and configured your build path, you are ready to write the code for Spring. So in Spring, as I told you, that IOC container creates and manages those objects, right? So you don't have to write IOC container here in your code. Instead, you write application context. This is the one, application context of Spring, and this is an interface, right? So you cannot create object of an interface. That's why you need a class which will implement that object. Let me just create the object of that class. Class path XML. This is the class that implements the object of my application context interface. So once you have created the object of class path XML application context, you are able to call getBean method and then you can call the objects of the class you want. So application context is the interface. This is the IOC container, and as I told you, this is an interface. You cannot create object of an interface in Java. It's not possible. So that is why class path XML application context is that class where you get all the methods, and this is how you get the complete feel of IOC container using this class, because all the methods are implemented in this class itself. So now let's go and write app ctx dot get bean, and here you can get the object of that class. And in this bracket of class path XML application context, you need to provide your configuration file. Here, right here, you need to provide the configuration file, and in that configuration file you have to write all the class names, right, that I told you. Here you have to write all the class names in your configuration file, and then IOC container will create object of those configuration files. So let's see how we can create the object of that how we can create the configuration file. So in my source folder I have my this example animal jungle.java. I will create one more folder here just to make my code more configurable, and just to know what files are present where, make the code more readable. Basically, I will create a new folder here, name it as resources, finish. Okay, and then resources needs to be there in the build path, so I will go and configure the build path as well. If you see in source, resources is not configured yet, so I'll have to do that, and I will check this. Okay, so now resources also is there in my build path. So in my resources I will go and create a class that will be my XML class. File, new, let me make it mybeans.xml. okay, and to know the XSD element that you have to write in your mybeans.xml, you can do one simple thing. You can just go to Spring Framework documentation, and then in this documentation you should be able to get the XSD that you need to write there. Okay, yeah, I think this is it. So you just need to copy this part, and then you need to paste this in your code. Okay, here, and close this. So what this part does, this part will do all the tag check, like whichever tag is open, whichever tag is closed, and then basically the grammar of your XML file, and also whatever classes you are creating, every class will have an object created by IOC, right? So all those IOCs will be stored at some location. So this is the schema location where all those IOC bean objects are created. And one more thing, whatever class objects you are creating, whatever class objects are created by the IOC container, all those are called as beans. So basically when you say bean in Java, it means the object of those classes that is created by your Spring Framework. We refer to that as beans. Simple. So bean class is equal to, I'll have the cat class here, and I can just go and take the complete path of this cat class. The trick to do is copy qualified name and come back here, right here. This is the complete qualified name of your bean class, and then you can just give it a reference ID, make it ID is equal to suppose C if I'm giving. Done. Similarly you can do for your dog class also. Whichever class basically you want, you can give the reference here. Dog class also is in same path, so same way you can get the fully qualified name of your dog class and write it over here and close the bean tag, right? So this is done, and now I have my dog class similarly like before, cat class also similarly like before, and in animal jungle I am making changes. So here I told you need to write your configuration file name over there. So my beans.xml is the name of the configuration file, so I'll have to mention it over here. And then you take the object of your class and then get bean method, and inside get bean method you need to write the class ID that you provided in your mybeans, and then you will get that ID. Suppose if you want the ID of your dog class, you can just write it D, and then you will get that ID. Another thing, you have to typecast this ID into the object that you want. Suppose if you want object of dog class, you need to write dog object is equal to app context.getBeanD. So this is how you'll get the object of dog class, and this object is stored in this particular variable, right? But you need to also typecast this thing. So you are typecasting now. Similarly, if you want for cat object, you just need to write cat object. This is irrelevant, you can give anything, but just to make it clear, I am writing it cat object. And then here what you need to have, you need to have the reference ID of your cat class, that is C in this case. So I will just write it C over here. Sorry, spelling mistake. C. This is it. And yeah, you need to typecast it to cat class. Correct? So let me see if everything is done here. One bracket. Okay. So our business class is ready. Our objects are ready in this class. Our both the classes are present. Animal class is present, which is our interface. My XML is present, and I have also put this my XML in the build path. And with cat object, you should be able to call your methods. Eat method and runs method. Correct? So now let's run this code. Okay, cat eats and cat runs. How is this happening? This is happening because mybeans.xml, which is our configuration file, is letting IOC container create the objects. So IOC container is picking all the classes you have present here, and then IOC container is giving the objects, and then you are able to get those objects using the reference ID. What happens if I don't have this class here? Let's see that. It should give you error, isn't it? Let's see how the error is shown. If I have commented out my cat class and I'm trying to get the object of cat class, the error should come, right? So let's see what is the error. No bean named C available. So it's looking for C ID inside your mybeans.xml and it's not getting that ID. That's why it's not giving you the objects. And let's see how the object is created. If you are creating an object, definitely the constructor should be called, right? Basic Java. So let me just create one constructor here. Constructor cat called. Okay, if the constructor will be called, this line should be printed. So let's run this. So you see constructor cat is called, and then cat methods are called. So this is how IOC container creates the object and give you the object. But till now, if you see, again, if you have to get the object of your dog class, again you will have to come and make changes, right? Then you'll have to make it small d, that is the ID of dog class, and then you will have to make this change. And similarly, you have to give the object name also for the new object that you have created, right? This you have to do for every other class, whichever you want the object for. So again, code changes, and we don't want this. This is not what Spring Framework has provided us. So here comes the most important feature. If you make it animal, that is the interface name, right? And if you make animal reference over here, let's see, let's make the reference for animal. Okay. And then I will make this name of the class whichever I want. Let me just comment on this redundant code here, because we don't want this anymore, because I'm going to show you how you can make use of polymorphism here, and this is very easy. So bean ID is animal, this is the reference of your animal class, and then you can give the class name of the class whichever you want. Some problem in error, guys. Okay, yeah, now it's fine. Okay, and then here you can just give the class name of the class you want. In this service class, what you have to do, you just need to get the animal ID, right? And typecast it back to animal. Make this animal object. Right? So now you are just taking the reference of animal and you are letting a configuration file decide whichever class you want. If you write here dog, here this animal.object.eats will call the eat method of dog class. If you write here cat, it will give you the eats method of cat class. So let's run this first and this will be very clear to us. Dog eats, because we have dog here in our XML file. If we make it cat, run it, cat eats, right? So here you don't have to make any changes here in your service class, right? This is what we wanted from the beginning. So you just need to make changes to your XML file, and this is very much configurable. So from business point of view, this is a very good important point, because you just need to make the changes in your XML. Suppose in future you get few more animal classes which is implementing your animal interface, you just need to add those classes in your source code, and here in you can just make the changes in this part, right? So this is how Spring Framework gives you IOC container to use. An IOC container is creating the object and managing the objects for you. As a developer, you just need to have your get bean method, and inside the get bean method you just need to write the reference. So guys, if you notice here, the control is taken by the framework. Now user does not have to create the object, user does not have to call the object, manage the object. The controller is taking the MVC framework is taking the control and it's doing all the things for you. This is why the term IOC, that is inversion of control. So now the control is completely inverted. The control is in the hands of the framework and not in the hands of developer. So guys, I hope this feature is very much clear to you and you are able to run your first Spring application. You just need to write an interface, write 1 or 2 classes, and then write your mybeans.xml. You can make this name anything you want. It's just an XML file. Put it in your resources, put the resources in your build path, and in your service class you can just use the application context, and then you can use getBean method of the application context interface, and bingo, you have your first Java application using Spring Framework running. So if you like this tutorial, please give a thumbs up and share it, and also subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe guys, because this will help me to make more and more videos, and in the next video I will be introducing dependency injection, so Spring will be more and more clear to you. So thank you guys, have a good day and take care. Bye bye.